What if the one who loves you most is the one you doubt the deepest? In a world where loyalty is rare and sacrifice often goes unseen, there lived a man who gave up everything: his honor, his voice, even his life, not for glory, but for love. This is not the story of a king. Not really. This is the story of the man who stood behind him, a man who said nothing when blamed, who kept secrets that shattered his heart, who was ready to die so that the one he served might live. His name was Faithful John, and once you hear his story, you'll realize that true loyalty isn't loud. It's silent, painful, and absolutely unforgettable. Once upon a time, in a grand and ancient kingdom, there lived a wise and loyal servant named Faithful John. For many years, he served the old king with honor, and when the king lay dying, he called John to his side. "John," the king whispered, "you have always been loyal. Promise me, when my son becomes king, you will guide him, watch over him as you did me, and protect him from harm." With tears in his eyes, John vowed, "I will serve the young king with my life." The prince became king. Bright-eyed, gentle-hearted, and full of dreams, the kind of man who believed the world would never lie to him. And behind him, always behind him, stood John, steady, quiet, watching every corner, every threat, every shadow the new king didn't yet know to fear. One day, the young king discovered a hidden room in the palace, dusty, locked for years. Inside it hung a painting. No, not just a painting. A presence. A woman. A princess. Her eyes so real they seemed to blink. Her lips curved in a smile that felt like a secret just for him. "I must find her," he said. "I must marry her. I've never even met her, and yet, I think I already love her." John's heart sank, but he didn't say no, because love isn't something you can reason with. So they sailed, across waters grey and deep, through winds that whispered warning. And when they found her, the princess, golden-haired and sharp-witted, she looked at the young king and saw something gentle, something true. She agreed to sail back with him. But love is never just love in stories like this. One night on deck, the wind turned colder. 3 ravens flew overhead, black wings against a storm-colored sky. John listened. He understood the language of birds, an old, forgotten gift. "When the king steps ashore," said the first raven, "his horse will rear and kill him. When he enters his hall," croaked the second, "a poisoned cup will greet him. And on his wedding night," whispered the third, "his bride's first kiss will steal his breath. And if the one who knows these curses speaks of them, he will turn to stone." John stood still. He couldn't tell the king, but he had to protect him, even if it cost him everything. The next day, John shot the king's horse before he could mount it. The king was furious. "What have you done? That was the finest horse in all the lands." John bowed his head, said nothing. Later, at the royal banquet, John struck a goblet from the king's hand, shattering it before lips could touch it. "Enough," the king shouted. "Are you mad?" Still, John said nothing. And on the wedding night, just as the queen leaned in to kiss her beloved, John burst into the room, ripped the enchanted robe from the king's shoulders, and threw it into the fire. The queen screamed. The king's eyes burned with betrayal. "I trusted you," he cried. "Why do you keep hurting me?" And then John finally spoke. "My king, you were never meant to understand. You were only meant to live." He told them everything. The ravens, the curses, the choice. And the moment the final word left his lips, his body stilled. His skin turned pale. And in the silence, John turned to stone. They placed him in the hall, not far from the throne. And every day, the king walked past the statue. And every day he whispered, "I'm sorry, I see it now." Then one quiet night, the statue spoke. "You can bring me back, but only if you give up what you love most." The king stood in silence. He had 2 young sons. He held them each night, kissed their foreheads in the dark. They were his joy, his heart outside his body. And yet, John had given everything, so the king chose. He brought his sons before the statue. Tears ran down his face as he let them go, and as their lifeblood touched the cold stone. John breathed again, and then, miraculously, the children cried out behind him, alive, safe, laughing in their father's arms. There was no feast that night, no trumpets, no cheers, just a king, a queen, their children, and the man who had never once asked for thanks. Because true loyalty doesn't need praise. It simply stands, silently, even when the world turns its back. This was not the story of a king. This was the story of faithful John.